No, wait, don't click away just yet, because this outro is one of the reasons I made this movie. See, I understand people in Future Motion headquarters might be watching right now, so I'd like to take this opportunity to sacrifice Future Motion sharing this on their Instagram to instead address some real issues the community has with the boards and the company. See, we need to talk about the hardware changes that have been secretly made to the boards and what honestly appears to be an anti-community move. Now, I would love to be proven wrong on what I'm about to say, so let's throw it over to the Onewheel PR department addressing community complaints for the past 5 years. Right, so in case you're not fully caught up on the various changes to the board, here's the timeline. Back here in the V1 and Plus days, nothing happened that I'm complaining about today. Range extending mods, switching motor controllers around, batteries around from dead boards, at home, on your own, was perfectly fine. And as you saw in my video, I used an external battery to extend my range dramatically. Throughout the Onewheel life, this has been done in 3 ways. Charge and ride through the XLR port, VNR by just putting another battery of the same voltage in parallel after the BMS, and finally R&R, which places the second battery in parallel before the BMS. And I promise this is all going to be super relevant in about 3 minutes. In 2018, the XR came out. More range. So much more range. And finally an answer to people using range extending mods. But charge and ride still worked, and all you had to do was change the settings on the boost converter. This first XR hardware was called 4206, but it did have a bit of a problem. Yeah, it just randomly stopped working. But no worries, Future Motion should fix it for free, right? There was a Rush software patch that made the board perform worse, and when that didn't work, they did start replacing controllers for free, plus shipping and handling. And any board sent in with 4206, regardless of if it was broken or not, would get upgraded to 4208. 4208, it didn't brick, but it also disabled charge and ride. Everything else worked though. VNR was developed as a workaround, and you could still replace broken parts at home. But really, this was the first clue that something was up. Why would they disable charge and ride through hardware changes? And people guessed it was something to do with fixing the controllers from bricking, shrugged their shoulders, and moved on. A short while later, 4209 came out, with the 221 inductor replaced with a sturdier surface mount version, preventing common causes of failure after heavy drops from all the previous boards and hardware revisions. And if that all sounded like Greek to you, don't worry. Just know that 4209 was the start of boards that could take some serious drops without breaking. I need to give Future Motion credit here for this redesign, as it really was a great change to the XR. CES 2019 brought us the new Pint, and while many of us were hoping for an XR2, the Pint came out as a mass-market, affordable introduction to the sport, and despite my original reservations, it's honestly a pretty powerful machine. Well, except the hypercharger being an overpriced normal XR charger with a different connector, but that is a rant for another day. Now, there's actually 4 revisions of the Pint, but I don't have enough data on the exact changes in each one, so here's a chart. We're going to call the old side V1 and the newer side V2. At launch, Pint hardware was version 1. And unlike the XR 4206, this one worked just fine. And due to the Pint's somewhat reduced range, VNR was even more popular. But then something happened. And this part is complete speculation, but I imagine the conversation at Future Motion going something like this. Hey dude, check out these sweet range extending mods for the Pint. Pretty sweet, right? Yeah, wait, what? Range, you know, 'cause the Pint doesn't have much? Well, why aren't they upgrading to the XR? 'Cause they don't need to? Don't worry, I have a plan. And so, version 2 of the Pint started shipping. This added software checks to measure how much energy is expected to come out of the battery compared to how much energy the motor should be using. After about 2 miles, if you have a range extending mod installed, it will shut down with error 23, incompatible hardware detected. But this didn't just affect people modifying their boards though. People with stock boards and no knowledge of these mods are also running into these issues. In an effort to lock down the board, it's actually become less reliable. But wait, there's more. In all of these Pint revisions, battery or controller swapping at home was impossible, as they were linked together in software by serial number. This actually wasn't a big deal, as the Pint hardware is quite resilient and didn't have the failure rates like the XR. So I need to give credit to both the improved waterproofing of the ESC and battery enclosures, with splash guards, better connectors, rubber O-ring gaskets sealing it all up. Honestly, good job, Future Motion. Meanwhile, in XR land, third-party parts for home repairs were getting easier to obtain thanks to a rogue former dealer buying new boards and selling the components to the community. In response, the XR obviously needed to receive the same lockdown treatment as the Pint, and so hardware 4210 was released. VNR was disabled in software using the exact same method as Pint v2. Range-extending mods were now pushed to move to R&R. What's R&R? Well, with Charge and Ride, we just charge through the charge port. With VNR, we tap the battery wires between the BMS and ESC. With R&R, we now have to tap the battery directly before the BMS. This is kind of a slight safety issue, as without the BMS doing cell balancing, low and high voltage cutoff, and most importantly, overcurrent protection, the booster battery could hurt the internal battery or wiring in some cases. But that's not what the lockdown was really about. Remember those easy-to-obtain third-party parts that would get you riding your board quicker and sometimes cheaper than an official Future Motion repair visit? Yeah, well, just like the Pint, 4210 now pairs the battery and motor controller with software. If one dies, you gotta replace them both. Now see, I wouldn't have a problem with this if the board was built like the Pint, what with its improved durability and water resistance, lowering the need for these part replacements. But since the design has remained the same, the only logical reason I see for doing this would be to stop people from working on the devices that they own. And as a side note here, 4209 and 4210 are physically the same hardware. Only the controller firmware changed. This means that Future Motion has the ability to update all the older 4209 boards to 4210 with software updates, removing Vamp and Ride and locking the ESC and BMS together on all these boards after they've been bought. But this also means that the inverse is true. Since the hardware is identical, the ESC and BMS pairing is done in software, which means it could be undone. In Future Motion, you could right your wrong here. But why would you do that? Well, let me give an example. I'm not a fan of Apple, but let me compare the two for a moment. If I buy two brand new iPhones and I take the battery from one and I put it in the other, I'm going to get an error that says the battery is not an official battery. Well, even though it is, but the phone's still going to work perfectly with no issues. But if I buy two brand new Onewheels and I swap the battery, well, it just won't work. I can't ride, the board won't activate, I'm not going anywhere. See, I never thought I'd say this, but the iPhone's actually easy to repair compared to a Onewheel. So, if we the people who own our devices can't repair them, do we really own them? Or are we just renting them while at the mercy of Future Motion to continue to repair them? Remember, Future Motion are the only ones with tools and parts right now, and they will only do repairs in California, and you have to ship the entire board. Again, if you're an international rider, I am so sorry. What happens if Future Motion dies, like inboard, boosted, and inertian? As a reminder, I ride a Plus, a board for which repairs are no longer offered and parts cannot be bought. To my board, Future Motion's already dead. So, since Future Motion has a monopoly on repairs right now, let's talk about price. At this time, repairs on supported boards now appear slightly cheaper. Unfortunately, this is due to itemization of the bill. For example, here we see the battery and BMS as two separate line items. The catch being I've never seen an invoice where they actually allowed the customer to replace just the battery or just the BMS. And even worse, look at this cost for a plastic battery box that's not even waterproof. But that's not why people want to fix their boards at home. It's the turnaround time. Remember that guy on eBay? He will overnight you parts and you will be up and going in under 24 hours. Let's compare that with the official Future Motion repair time. The email is going to take a week or two to respond, so the quickest way to get a slot is to call them. If you get lucky on the phone, you could get a prepaid label sent out to you and you could be back riding in around 2.5 weeks. But the average is around 4 to 8 weeks, where you pay shipping both ways. And the longest repair time I've seen was 6 months for a dude in Germany, who eventually just gave up waiting for his repair and never saw his board again.
Boy, I sure do love driving my Yonda branded car. I just love the company so much. Ah, a tree! Oh no, I've crashed. Why would Hyundai make a car that crashes? They never should have allowed me to go to my buddy Joe down the street and have him help me change my spark plugs.
See, that's silly, right? These moves don't serve a need for safety. Particularly in Pint V2 and XR4210, these are purely software moves intended to stop the community from doing what they want with the device they physically own. And from what I see, Every hardware change since mid-2018 has been targeted directly at people offering third-party repairs, parts, and modifications.
We like maintaining control over products that you own. After all, repair of boards is a fantastic revenue stream that we would like to continue to have monopolies over.
See, that's more like it. Again, if Future Motion would give a good reason for these moves through their PR department.
Wait, we got more things to talk about.
What do we got to talk about?
The dog calendar.
Ooh!
The dog calendar.
Right, I keep forgetting. Yeah, I wouldn't have to accuse you of being anti-community. So, Future Motion, I'm only asking for two things here. We know that VNR being disabled and the ESC BMS pairing is all software, which means that you can revert these changes through an update. Please do so. Number two, just get rid of this corporate culture and talk to us like the enthusiasts we are. We love your product, we're not going to sue you, so quit running statements through your legal department and give us some real answers to the changes in hardware and software we all ride. And we can talk about the other stuff some other day. Here's a list of that other stuff.
Bad repair service times. Warranty void if removed stickers which according to the FTC mean nothing. Ads showing going through water without any disclaimers then declining any water damage as warranty work. The random changes between 30Q and VT6 cells and the subsequent widespread failure of the 30Q based packs in XRs just after the surprisingly short warranty is up. The complete lack of international repair options, an email ticket system that's as useful as single-ply toilet paper, and most importantly no parts or tools being sold.
Look, you got a long way to go, but let's start with reverting the software changes and talking to us like adults. And if you'd like to know more about the right to repair movement in fields other than Onewheels, I recommend this video from Louis Rosman, independent Apple board repair specialist, and this mini documentary from Vice, showing the exact same concept in farm tractors that put your food on the table. See, the right to repair is a global issue, and I hope that you will set the example to others that your product is not disposable. And for everyone else in the community, I'd like you to help me pressure Future Motion for action by adding hashtag right to repair to your usual posts at Onewheel. Show off your unofficial mods, post pictures of the inside of your controller, or videos of just slicing those useless warranty void stickers. And you might also want to add your constructive comment to all their Instagram posts, asking that our boards be set free in software, and hardware repair parts be made available. Change is only going to happen when there's a movement to force it. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Question: What's with the BMS and ESC pairing lock on 4210 XR boards? $10 They won't answer my question about why the ESC and BMS can't be replaced at home.
Shout out to Canada up there. It's always with Canada, right? And snowboard at powder for me is like the best experience. I never wanted.
Any plans to acknowledge and work with third-party vendors? Also won't give back old parts after getting repair. The struggle is real for anyone who just wants to fix their board. I sent in some similar questions. What are your thoughts on the third-party Onewheel apps? They're locking batteries to controllers and software, making replaceable impossible. Funny that you're talking about things lasting forever. This is a waste of an interview. They never want to talk about things going on and actual plans. Just sent my board back. Will you also open a service point in Europe?
Product development. People want product development. And I also saw a few about swappable batteries.
Swappable batteries always make products, bigger, less reliable, and companies that bet their company, their product on swappable batteries often end up going out of business because of the complexity of swappable batteries. That's what I think about swappable batteries.
There you have it, folks. Swappable batteries is actually a bad idea.
Product development is one of my core areas that I try to spend my time on, just helping make better products for riders. And so, yeah, obviously I can't say a ton about what we're doing next, but all I can say is you guys are gonna like it, and
etc.
Flying kitchen knives. The lawyers are gonna love that.